My name is Amber Farrell, 25 years old. At 6:40 a.m. on Christmas morning, my mother ripped my stocking off the mantel, threw it into the fireplace, and spat. "You've ruined every Christmas since you were born. We never wanted you here." My father slammed a trash bag of my clothes against my chest so hard I hit the wall, growling, "Finally, pack your shit and get the hell out of our house." My sister stood on the stairs filming it all, laughing as she said, "Good luck starting over, loser. No one in this family is going to miss a worthless burden like you." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just took the small walnut box my grandfather gave me 9 years ago, walked out into the snow, and drove to Northern Trust. The bank manager locked the door behind me, looked me in the eyes, and said, "Miss Farrell, sit down. What I'm about to show you is going to change everything your family just did to you. Before I tell you how my grandfather destroyed them from the grave, hit like and subscribe. Drop your city and local time below. I love knowing where you're listening from. Let me take you back to that morning properly. The version I just told you happened in less than 3 minutes. The morning itself had been moving toward it for 9 years. I woke up at 6:32 a.m. The first thing I noticed was the smell of cinnamon coffee. My mother made cinnamon coffee only on Christmas morning, ever since we'd moved into my grandfather's house when I was 15. For 10 years, that smell had meant ritual, a signal that the family was performing. This morning, underneath it, I heard too many footsteps in the hallway for 6:32 a.m. My father's boots, my mother's slippers, something being dragged across hardwood. I sat up. There was already a suitcase in the middle of my room. I had not put it there. A knock came at the door. 3 taps, then my mother's voice. Quiet. The voice she used when she didn't want my sister to hear. "Sweetheart, get up. We need to talk before the others wake up." I knew that voice. I had heard it through the kitchen wall the night before, telling my father, "Just keep it short. Don't let her cry her way out of it." I got up. I opened the door. My mother was already inside. She had a 30-gallon hefty trash bag in one hand. She walked past me to my dresser and started pulling clothes out and dropping them in without folding. My grandmother's old cardigan went in the same way as my underwear. "Mom," I said. My voice came out flat. "What's happening?" She didn't answer. Behind her, my father stood in the doorway. Brad Farrell, 53 years old, plant foreman at Cherryland Furniture Mill. He hadn't looked at me directly in maybe 2 years. He wasn't looking at me now either. He was looking at the wall above my head. Then he stepped forward, took the bag from my mother's hands, and slammed it against my chest so hard I hit the wall behind me. The framed family portrait from 2018 fell off its nail and cracked face down on the carpet. The one I wasn't in. He had hung that picture himself. "Finally," he said, low in his throat, "pack your shit and get the hell out of our house." It was the most words he had spoken to me in 3 years. My mother stepped between us with her eyes lit up. Not afraid, not angry, just lit up. Because my father had moved without her permission, and that was an offense she would correct later. She took my elbow and pulled me toward the stairs. The tree was lit, 8 feet of balsam. The fat-colored bulbs my grandfather had used since 1972, glowing against the snow outside the picture window. I followed her down. She walked straight to the fireplace, reached up, and ripped my Christmas stocking off the mantel, the white one with silver thread my grandmother had stitched my name into, and threw it into the fire. It went up fast. The lining was synthetic. For 1 second, the smell was almost like the cedar dust in my grandfather's cabinet shop. Then it wasn't. She turned to me. Her face was calm. "You've ruined every Christmas since you were born," she said. "We never wanted you here." My first thought, standing in front of the fireplace with my own name burning behind my mother, was not, "How could she?" My first thought was, of course. She had been saying it sideways for 25 years. She had finally found a stage. There were 4 stockings left on the mantel. Cheryl, Brad, Kelsey, Tanner. The last one had been hung 2 weeks ago by my sister's boyfriend, a man I had spoken to maybe 11 times. His name was on the mantle, and mine had just turned to ash. Then my sister came down the stairs. Kelsey was 22, 80,000 TikTok followers. She was already filming, phone held vertical, screen turned toward herself so she could see her own face. "Hey besties," she said into the camera. "This is real. This is happening live." She didn't look at me. Not when my mother handed me the bag again. Not when my father unlocked the front door. Not when she turned her phone slightly to catch my face in the frame and laughed. "Good luck starting over, loser," she said. "No one in this family is going to miss a worthless burden like you." I had socks on. No shoes. The cold from the open door hit my legs first, then the bruise already forming on my chest. I picked up the walnut box from the bottom step where I'd set it the night before. I'd carried it downstairs at midnight, almost without thinking, like my body knew before I did. And I stepped over the threshold. The snow came up to the tops of my socks before I reached my car. I closed the door behind me the way my grandfather had taught me to close cabinet doors when I was 8 years old. Quietly. All the way. They thought silence meant I had nothing to say. Silence was the first thing my grandfather ever taught me how to use. Let me